All right, that was interesting. Wow, I see what happened there. I know three of you are back in. Two. I'll wait, and then I'll tell you what happened. Right, Kinky. I'll explain. If you can hear me, make sure you tell me. I know what happened there. It really wasn't my fault. I'm on a beta version. Good to see you, Kinky. All right, two of you are back. And I don't know why the rest aren't back in. Good. Excellent, Kinky. All right, for the two of you who are here, what happened is this. At least this is what I think happened. I'm using a beta version, which has its issues, but I didn't have any issues last week. I actually was broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. All right. So this thing cut off me today. Didn't do it last week. I had the Johnny Hartman music on. And usually they don't count it as a strike, but they say, well, you can't monetize if you use that type of copyrighted music. No, I didn't close the stream. I didn't close it. It closed it on me. And I assume that was Facebook. Okay. So if you're just jumping in, the beta version allows me to multi-stream. So everything was fine until I got to the Johnny Hartman music. Now there was themed to a summer place, whatever was on the beginning. I don't know exactly which one. Okay. I'm going to double check because Sandy's texting me now saying that I'm going to have to start all over again, but I don't know that I'm going to have to do that. Let me double check before we start. You'll just bear with me. I promise you I'll get this right. All right, I just sent a text to Sandy back. When I start seeing everybody jump back in, we'll be okay. My only worry is when I go back to showing videos online, that may be a problem. I don't know. So we'll just wait for a minute or two. But again, you know, I'm streaming to at least 3 different platforms, which is a really good thing, all at once. Click on Divide We Stand and the stream will pop up. Okay, I'll do that. Kinky, that's on YouTube, right? All right. All right. This wasn't a great start. I didn't expect this, but it sounds like more of you are getting in. Let me see. Sandy's texting me back. Okay, she's going to try. All right. So, you know, if at first you don't succeed, try again, and you'll be okay. So give me a second here to sip some tea, and then I will start. And if I'm going to put background music on, it's going to have to be like Facebook approved music or something like that. And I don't know what I have here. I don't want that. Oh, geez, that might knock me out. That was the beginning of Kid Charlemagne. Hope not. All right. All right. I won't put anything on right now, okay? I'll just go straight through. Okay, it looks like we have about a third of what we had in the beginning, but that's all right. So again, kind of my fault. What happened was it's beta version. I streamed to multiple platforms, but one of them, and my suspicion is that it's either Twitter and or Facebook, knocked me off as soon as I put that Johnny Hartman on. So that's the thing. Another couple of things. Your name won't come through on Facebook unless you agree to the terms. Like, let's say Ecamm would like to use your name. So in other words, when you use your avatar on Facebook, if you don't agree to that, you can still watch it, but it won't, and you can comment, but it won't show your name. So, yeah. Whoa, it's T-Bone. Oh, thank God you're back. Thank God. Great, T-Bone. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. A lot of things have happened since you've gone. And let me update everybody, first of all. David. Geez, I really miss that music, too. I've got to have some type of background stuff we can use here. Oh, for Christ's sake. My. Oh, my God. Oh, if this knocks me off, it's going to, you know, geez. Sleep jazz. Oof, I don't want to do it. You know what? I won't do it right now. I can figure out. Maybe I'll put a Facebook thing on. There you go. Not really the best. The group's good with the music. Anyway, T-Bone, great to see you. As you may know, as you remember, Dave has had some issues. I did explain his issues. My wife contacted Judy yesterday. Dave has not spoken to me for over 3.5 weeks. He's not angry. He just can't. So there is some slightly good news, I think. Number one, he did go pick Judy up at the train station. So he got out of the apartment this week. That's a good thing. And she told Ronnie, my wife, that he might try to come on next week. There are no promises there, but and I don't want to lead you on to say, yeah, he's going to be on. I'm just kind of going to just try to hide it from you. No, Dave will decide. But I understand where he's coming from, because it's this type of depression is not, the type of depression you think of where you're just down in the dumps. Dave just literally feels out of body, and it's a bizarre thing. And to have him on, and then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, he's got to run off the show, would be a really, really big problem for him. So we'll see how the medication works and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, he's a really good friend of mine, as you know. He's a good friend of yours, and this is really, really tough. And yeah, he might come back next week. But I can't guarantee it. I can't say 50-50 or whatever. But we'll find out. He'll either be here or he won't. But we need him here. We do. But we do have some good news, because T-Bone's here. I can understand T-Bone. I know quite a few of our members have expressed they have been through that. I know Kevin has openly expressed that. Kevin Wheeler. Haven't seen Kevin for a while, Veg. By the way, I saw your video today. Great stories. We'll get to that later. I promised myself I wouldn't say and I just did it. No fillers tonight. So, yeah, we haven't seen T-Bone for what? T-Bone, and T-Bone is great to see you, and it'd be great to have you on again. I mean, you ever want to come on? Boom! I'll just send you a link, and that goes for Veg and anybody else. You want to come on? It'd be great. Ecamm, I believe, will allow up to 5. If you have the new Mac, which I don't have, you can have up to 10 people, which would be kind of a weird thing, but I would at least attempt to use it. But I can't do that with my computer's great, but it's not. It's better than right? I suppose it is. Right, Kinky? So it was great talking to everybody last week. And I want to start off, because I told Gary Peak I was going to say this, because for the last month and a half, I have been railing on Merrick Garland. So before I begin anything tonight, I'm not going to really talk too much about Merrick Garland tonight. I just want to say that I made a big mistake. I was frustrated with the pace of the investigation, and I did it again. And it turns out that he has really come through. So maybe he did the right thing. He held back and boom, laid down the hammer. But that's really not the topic for tonight. I've been watching a few different things related, of course, to this big week in news. We've had so much going on. Just the fact that the Democrats, wow, that was a brain freeze there, got the bill passed is fantastic in itself. But as you know, a lot of other things happen. Trump had to get deposed in New York. Trump also, I guess he lost another case where he has to show his tax documents. Lindsey Graham and Giuliani, they have to be in a grand jury court on the 17th or something like that. So that's great. Then, of course, the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. And we can discuss that. That's fine. But I've been watching some other things that kind of underlie how I feel about what has been going on within, I would say, the liberal to centrist group of voters. Now, Hal Sparks is extremely well. Hal Sparks has discussed this matter on his show, so you can look at that anytime you want. For some reason, I'm not getting this video. All right, try that again. But You got to stop me from the fillers here. But I wanted to go into what I titled The Masqueraders Among Us. And, I always had this suspicion about Jimmy Dore because, at the height of the election process where we're trying to get the votes out and in, he was, of all groups, he was attacking the Democrats. It's like you're trying to fight and somebody's pulling you at the wrists. And this has been a real problem with me because, you want to see things get done. David and I both believe in pragmatism because you can't get everything you want. Rolling Stones had it right. You get what you need. But we've seen that even in our victories, people have been taking shots at Biden. Now, I'm not, like I say, you know this, I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden, but what he's done, what the party has done recently is commendable. And it's certainly in no comparison to what the Republicans are, which are just simply, you can call them what you want, okay? There's no sense negotiating with it. I'm just going to say it's kind of evil. Because any party that, attacks the FBI or applauds a group of individuals who are planning their insurrection or having an insurrection can be nothing but evil. So I have a real problem with calling them anything but evil. Because that's what they are. But to attack the one party that's trying to do something, as poorly as they've done, and I know some of you probably don't agree with me, but as poorly as they've done in the past, they've done a decent job the last couple of weeks. And you look at the accomplishments. So I want to show you a few videos that I think are kind of important. Okay. I'll show you a couple Stuttering John ones a little bit later. Yeah, let's first go to the type of Democrat that I think we need. And Ron Flipowski, who was a Republican, I believe, at one time, seems to think that this is the type of individual we need at this point. And I'll get to your comments, folks. Just haven't seen them yet. I'll look at them. It'll be a little bit out of time. But at least I want to show you the videos, at least some of them first. All right? So this will be the third one. 1, 2, 3. All right, so you've seen this before, not on this channel, but you've probably seen it during the week. So let me pump this in. All right, you should be able to hear me. On the left is John Melendez from the Howard Stern Show and Jay Leno. Stuttering John, if you will. And Ron Flipowski, who's kind of a no-nonsense guy, and he believes that the Democrats have to field somebody who's really, really tough. Again, I'll get to the points I'm trying to make, but I first want you to see this. Okay, so what happened to me? Oh, there I am. All right. So this will probably run a couple of minutes, but I think it's worth showing. So we'll see Beto O'Rourke and what he said and how he said it, and then the commentary afterwards, and then we'll come back and talk about it for a second.
And the only way to do it is with overwhelming evidence. And I think that, as I said on Twitter a few days ago, when this affidavit gets released, it's going to be way...
That's not the one, son of a bitch. Okay. Give me a second, folks. Oh, for God's sakes. I have these clips set up, and I went out of order. I think I accidentally knocked one out. Let me see if this is it. Here it is. Okay, good.
Okay.
Here we go. So this is the clip I wanted to show you first. You've all seen this. but I think it's important that we check it out.
Okay.
Listen, you know,
I was mistaken
Now 11
because they
weeks.
said it was like a Snickers ad, and that wasn't a funny clip.
that's not funny. No, but listen, two things about that. Number one, you know who Beto reminds me of? Barack Obama.
I was going to say that. You should let me answer. Why didn't you let me answer?
He talks just like Barack Obama. Number
Yep.
one, that's number one. Number two, this is what the Democrats have to start doing. We have to be tough. We have to fight back, and we have to tell it like it is, just like he just did. That's why I like Tim Ryan, and that's why I like Beto, and that's why I like Katie Porter. They don't
Eric
put up
Swalwell.
any bullshit. You know,
Eric Swalwell.
that Swalwell. That's what the Democratic Party. No, I'm done with the Schumers and the Nadlers and all that. I'm done. I'm done with those guys.
Okay, here. So let me go back to the original screen. Now you missed that part where Beto O'Rourke basically says to this guy, interrupting what he's talking about with the guns and Uvalde and Parkland, and he says something snide, starts laughing, and I said, gotta stop the fillers, Weinstein. So anyway, if you have seen this, Beto O'Rourke turns around and says, "That's not funny, motherfucker. Not to me." That kind of thing. Now, there were a couple kids around. Some people on Twitter said, well, why did he have to do that? There were kids around. Understand, there's this pent up, like we say, pent up demand. It's like, it's like potential energy. I'm not going to drop this, but there's that potential energy of this foam wanting to drop down to the floor. And when it releases the energy. That energy, as I see it, has been pent up by everybody. Everybody on our side has been pent up. We talk about the Republicans having the pent up energy. Of course, they do it by going to a field office for the FBI in Cincinnati. Our energy is a little bit more, I would say, reason-based. Now, he did go off and use the word motherfucker. But I would ask you, is that the way we should go? And I honestly think at this point, this is what we have to do. We are at, at that critical point in time where we need a hero. Now, whether Biden can assume that role, and we're going to get to this Dark Brandon idea, and it will relate to what I'm talking about in my title about those who are masqueraders among us. These are the people who, constantly beat down any type of success of the Democratic Party. And I'm not even talking about the Republicans. I'm talking about the people who beat them down. The Jimmy Dores, the Cenk Uygurs, okay? The Tulsi Gabbards. Just talking smack and making things difficult for us. All right, so I want to go to a Hal Sparks clip, if I may. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go to the web again. But I want to explain this ahead of time a little bit. As you know, there's that Republican phrase out there, let's go Brandon, which means fuck Joe Biden or something like that. So the Democrats have kind of turned it around. Somebody on Twitter, I forget who it was, twisted the Let's Go Brandon around and called it Dark Brandon after these victories. In fact, I may even I had a sketch online. Okay, images. Yeah, let me just throw one in here. Okay, which was kind of funny. It was, it wasn't something that Biden did himself. And, they're playing around with the Brandon thing. And that frustrates the Republicans. So the Republicans are putting out this idea that it's very cringy for the Democrats to do this. In reality, what it is, they're upset that we're taking what they've done and using it against them. Okay? Kind of like, I'll use an analogy of a boxer who is fighting somebody who has a great hook. And then that boxer uses the hook to knock him out. So it's not, on the scheme of things, it's not a really big thing. But you're going to see here where Hal Sparks talks about this not being such a big thing. I'm going to use different segments. I'm going to show you about 2 minutes here. I'm going to let Hal talk, and then we'll get to it.
After the White House tries to rebrand the president. Cringe taken to a new level?
Cringe taken to a new level.
Definitely.
Definitely. And if I could cringe, if my face wasn't so full of botulism that I could cringe, I would cringe. I would cringe. Biden supporters celebrate cringy dark Brandon memes. Harris Faulkner. Wait a minute. What's that behind my right shoulder? Oh. Wait, you're telling me that's not a Fox? That's not a Fox News channel? Lower third happening there? Who's that from?
Never thought I would agree with Faulkner, but
There you go. I'm glad they took their time out to this is how they're answering the dark Brandon meme stuff instead of just laughing it off like normal human beings. No. It's the one opportunity for Anna to come to blaze into the Fox News studios and high five Harris Faulkner.
but I definitely agree. This
is so gross. Oh my god. Critics mock White House dark Brandon memes. By the way, that would make her, that's the real, this Biden supporters celebrate cringy dark Brandon memes. That's the TYT lower third. This is what Fox actually wrote, which means she's included in that group, according to Fox News. She's there, and look at the, like, ugh, God. At least she doesn't have to talk about the PACT Act passing.
All right, so let's go back to the regular screen. Now, I just see somebody, was it Mark or Matt? Yeah, Dark Brandon is from Emanations. I don't know anything about that, and I defer to you. All I know is that, let me see if I have this right, that we've turned this thing around. We've used it against the Republicans, which I think is a great idea. A really, really good idea. And when they say cringe, there's no cringe. It's the Dark Brandon thing is cringeworthy, but this isn't cringe. This is just a nice little thing that's kind of turned the table around on them. But the point here is, you have people like the young turds. Well, I guess that's Freudian. You know, they're the ones who are supposed to push the progressive agenda. And the moment you have some kind of success, what do you talk about? Some meme? I mean, whose side are you on? And I've seen this time and time again with Jimmy Dore. And it was great that Hal Sparks for the last year has tore his ass apart. Because Hal Sparks, in terms of intelligence, is he is streets ahead of anything. I mean, Jimmy Dore could live 1,000 years and he'd still have to guess what Hal Sparks knows. That's the difference between the two. If you know where I'm coming from here. I mean, you can speculate on who's funnier, although I don't think that Jimmy Dore is that funny, although he was a comedian. I find Hal Sparks funny. And he's doing this, off the cuff every day. But he's intelligent. And he reasons well. And what he's been saying is, you have these people who call themselves progressives, and all they do is take shots. I mean, it's okay to state your opinion about, about climate change, about the PACT Act, whatever it is, that's fine. But don't run the guy down. If anybody should be running down, it would be Donald J. Trump or any one of the assholes in the Republican Party. It should be just every day burying every son of a bitch, whether it be Lindsey Graham, Mark Meadows, anyone. You choose anyone. You could throw a dart and it would always hit on the one you'd say, hey, I hit the spot. You can't miss, right? It's like you got 4,000 Hitlers in front of you and you're shooting. It doesn't matter where you shoot. You're going to hit the right thing. But he can't do it. So you say to yourself, why do they do that? Well, it seems to me the logic is that they do it for their own good, for their own bucks, for their own ego, because it's an easy target. So now, not only do the Democrats have to deal with the Republicans, but people trying to bring them down. I'm not saying worship the Democratic Party. I'm saying get involved from within and do something instead of constantly attacking. If you're going to, talk about what needs to be done and you yourself are violating it, if you ignore what you defend, you're worse. And this is what the Jimmy Dores of the world are. This is what Cenk Uygur is about. And Hal Sparks calls it out. I want to move on. Again, I'm going to get to your comments because I'm sure there's some great stuff there, but I want to try to do this in order. Let's go back to that same video. I'm going to jump. I did order these, and I want to make sure we get it right. All right. I'm probably a little bit early on this, but that's fine.
Oh, that's the case, I guess.
It's cringy no matter what. Please stop doing it.
No, as a matter of fact, I think we need more of them because why the fuck would this irritate TYT? Why do you care?
Exactly. Why the fuck do you care? And this is what makes me so suspicious about those who condemn any type of movement in the right direction politically. Why condemn? Why even talk about this Brandon thing? Like, why take up space on your broadcast to talk about shit like that when we're dealing with literal fascists ready to kill you and me? And I mean that. And if you doubt it, go talk your shit to your Republican Trumper down the way, or see what happened in Cincinnati. Takes a nail gun because I guess he thinks he's going to be able to shoot through the bulletproof glass, or he's heard that. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Okay. And now Cenk is starting to bring Hal Sparks' name up, which is really doing it himself, because he's not in the same league as Hal Sparks. Let's move this ahead.
The idea that Joe Biden is some sort of like political killer is hilarious. That's why it started funny. Now there's like massive Biden fans, like the Hal Sparks of the world.
Hey! Look, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. All right.
And I should add, though, that he was doing this live. He had no idea. This was the first time he had seen this. And now you're seeing that these people are looking around. They realize they've got such a big ego. They're saying, oh, God, Hal Sparks is coming after you. Because, in the beginning it was easy pickings for Jimmy Dore. There was nobody against him. I would say shit, but, they don't know who I am. 12 people watching my videos. I don't really count. I'm not on the screen. But if I had been, the Jimmy Dores of the world would be saying, well, you look at Divided We Stand. But Hal's done such a great job, and he does have a name already, that these people have to pay attention. And they deserve every bit of the derision that Hal Sparks gives them. Because they deserve it. Because they put themselves on the fence. But they're actually not even on the fence. They're like molasses. They're just slowing people down. They're jealous. They're like the guy that's jealous that another person dated his girl. Or the girl that he liked. And he didn't get to go to the prom, so now he's pissed. So he's just going to talk shit about the person. So this is what's been happening here. So let me go to some comments here, because I don't want to go too far ahead. There are other things that I have to go over with you guys and gals. So first, again, introductions. I meant to say this before we shut off the first time we started tonight. Kinky Streets, good to see you back here. Epi Mew from Scotland. It's wonderful to have you. Really. And again, Scotland, I know you're up. Wow, it must be 2:30, 2:43 in the morning there. Okay. Who else do we have? Okay, we have Facebook user. If I went to Facebook, I could find out who that is. It might be Joey. Last time it was Bill Waterman. Now, Bill Waterman, one of our Facebook group members and also a colleague of mine, great guy. He is in Portugal right now, so who knows? I doubt he's up in Portugal. It must be around 4 in the morning, but in any case, he was watching last time. Sandy, good to see you. Another Facebook user. There's Joey, Divided We Stand, so I know it's Joey. All right. Anthony, good to see you. Veg, I watched your video this morning. Kim, always great to see you. And again, T-Bone, we gotta have you on again. I mean, absolutely. I don't know what happened. I thought maybe I did something wrong. You know, I hadn't seen you for a while, but whatever was going on, I stay out of it. But it's good to see you, because you're the type of guy, you know, I can definitely talk to and have on the show. And you know, anytime you've got an invitation, that goes for you too, Veg and Nina Canadian. Absolutely. Fat Boy's back. Welcome. Don't become a beta male. This is David Pakman's nickname. David. I do watch David Pakman a little bit. There's nothing against him. I think he has a good show. I just think that I like Hal's show. Probably the best out of all the shows. I do like John Melendez, because he's kind of like a simple guy. I have to show you a clip, if you don't mind, here with John Melendez. He was at a bar, right? Recently. This is, I believe, I guess it's L.A. So he goes to a bar, and he's with his buddies, and the barmaid, or barista, he always gives her a $10 tip after 3 or 4 drinks, right? And they were talking politics about Trump, or they were pro-Biden or something like that at the bar. And the woman who's at the bar, okay, serving them, goes off at them, talking about fucking Biden or this or that. So I want you to see this clip with John, because it was great. I think I better be able to find it. Yeah, this should be it. All right. So check this out.
But it doesn't matter, because that relationship is over. I'm not going to be screamed at because you're so fucked up in the head that you think that Biden is a piece of shit, considering all the great shit Biden is doing for the middle class, you dumb fuck.
All right, so that's a very short clip. But that's what I like about John Melendez. He's like us. You know, I mean, and this is not a put down. This is something to endorse, the way all of you, as far as I know you, would probably speak with me, you know, in the way we'd be talking about Trumpers if we were in a room, you know, if we were all in a restaurant or whatever, at a bar. It was late, 12 midnight, and we're talking. You are all to me that type of person. That's what I like John Melendez. He says, you fuck. I think there's something about when I first heard a curse word, I think I heard I don't know, I mean, at least at the point when I was little, when I actually could realize it was a curse word. I knew in first grade, I think in second grade, I figured a lot of them started coming out. I remember one time a friend said, don't use the middle finger. And I went up to the teacher and says, Johnny says that this is bad, and she didn't say anything. She was kind of nice and tried to push it off. But it's interesting when people cursed to me, the people that I knew, and even people that my parents knew, or when my father would get angry. My mother wouldn't say the F-bomb, but she'd say every other word. But my father would once in a great while if he was really pissed. But they only used it when you knew they were going to tell the truth. Like I remember my father, well, I didn't want to get into it because it's personal stuff, was talking about somebody. And I remember him saying that guy can go fuck himself. Because he was angry about something that had come up. So as I grew up, I had this certain trust, not always with everybody, but when I knew that somebody was speaking with determination and cursing, that I could trust that person. Because those who filtered things and held things back, there was always this idea that there was this second world behind that skull of theirs. And I think this is why I tend to like Stuttering John, or John. I call it John Melendez. I don't want to talk about that. And Hal Sparks, Beta O'Rourke. There's this certain sense that they're like me. That sometimes I have to express myself that way. I try to go the correct route, but it's not really the correct route. Even people like Christopher Hitchens, who had a wonderful vocabulary, was just cavalier with how he spoke, just wonderfully well-spoken. But he would throw in the F-bombs. I remember, I probably showed you the clip where he was in this park near where Diana was buried or something like that, or where there was some type of, I don't know, ceremony for her. Some big, tall British dude comes up and, do you really have to speak like that about her in a place like this? He says, you're fucking dumber than you look. So in other words, he just got real direct, even though he's the person who could, he could say 8-syllable words and put words together well. But there was something about this realness, which, by the way, I kind of feel from all of you. I just don't curse for the sake of cursing. It becomes a frustration. I certainly wouldn't do it in a classroom, but I kind of get what Beto did. I think at some point you have to do that. Now, a president should not do that. Behind the scenes, okay. If he's off mic, okay. But if you're making a speech, you don't do it. But if you're caught on a hot mic, I kind of get it. Right? I mean, Truman was like that. He called Nixon a shifty-eyed son of a bitch. When I read, was it plain speaking? He was that way. Let's go to some of the comments. So everybody's saying hello to everybody. They're waiting for T-Bone's vids. Great to see you, T-Bone. Okay, so you're talking about a subscription to Epidemic Sound. You never get a block from anyone. Okay, I'll look at that, Sandy. You'll see, what the expense is of it, and maybe we'll do it. All right. Quick question about Kevin. As far as I know, Kevin's okay. Kevin's busy with his bowling thing, so sometimes he's not on. But I'm going to check in with Kevin. I haven't heard from him for about a week or so. And Kevin's health is always kind of precarious too, because he has heart problems, and always worried about Kevin. Always worried about Kevin. Yeah, clinical depression, right? It's debilitating. So, and to say Dave's is It's just one of those weird things. He knows when it comes on. It literally creeps up his body quickly. I mean, literally, just other people. It's a different thing. And yeah, we love Dave. He's a good person. He really is. He's been through the mill, and he would be here. Okay, we do need Dave. I need him here. Let us know, Dave, get back in the game. Just join the chat. Okay. I suffer from, okay, T-Bone, not fun. I took a break from, oh, okay. Then, honestly, at first I thought it was something I did, T-Bone. Sometimes I blame myself. Joey, yes, make sure I don't say that. That'll be my curse word. Okay. Don't say, okay. Right. In Russian, there's always like fillers that they use. And one of the big ones is kakbui. I remember this woman who I do lessons with sometimes. She says, I never use kakbui. Like 3 sentences later, she says kakbui. I said, you just said it. So, yeah. Yeah, we all have issues in the state of the planet. We could just get it's the deep state depressed. I don't believe in any deep state aside from deep state thought, but that's what, there I go again. That's what the Republicans are kind of using. They call the Democrats deep state, because Garland's doing the right thing. It's deep state. Now the FBI is deep state. No, they're doing the right thing. You are asshole state. Well, that would be it. I would just hope that something would happen to him, like, I don't know, somebody would like give him a guitar for a present and he, take it into his bathtub and play, or just do himself in somehow, because he would be the one that would do himself in, but he certainly needs to be locked up. We might have to have a civil war to do it. Excuse me while I take a drink. The thing that Donald Trump might skate free like is Teflon Don, if he seems to be. I'm not holding my breath for that piece of shit. Right. And Ronnie says that too, Santa. He always gets away with it. So we all have this feeling like, wow, he's going to get away with it no matter what. And you know why I believe he might get away with it? And I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not. But here's the thing. Even if his lawyers fail, just like Alex Jones' lawyers failed him, maybe on purpose, who knows? And they may use that as a way to, have a mistrial or something like that. But I'm thinking that no matter who you have on that jury, there's going to be one or two people who are going to, no matter what is said, they're going to go with Trump. I mean, I was a foreman on a jury. I got that sense. It was like a negotiation with people. You don't know why they felt the way they did. I mean, the facts just didn't quite lead them that way. I had to freeze again there. And then you say to yourself, well, what is it? Did they fall in love with the attorney? Is it some political thing? So you think about the court system, then you have 12 jurors. And there's always going to be one asshole, right? And they're just going to hold out no matter what and say, yeah, Hitler's good. See what I'm saying? That's what scares me. It was kind of like the impeachment of Trump, the second impeachment. They had 57 senators. But they couldn't get 60. Or 66, I should say. Or 67. 67. Cipollone was not anything special as an attorney. I mean, compared to what was going on with the prosecuting side. But because you have these senators like Lindsey Graham and McConnell, I mean, like I say, you could throw darts anywhere and you hit a bad person. They were going to vote with Trump. Hence, you have a Russian-type court. And this is what the Russians have been complaining about for 80 or 90 years, at least to me. Tomorrow I'll discuss it with some Russians. They say at least you have people on the other side who can speak out. We have nothing. The courts will always go against you. So what's happening is that is what they're trying to do. You know, we have the Viktor Orbáns of the world spreading all over. Now we have governors doing this shit. So this is why people say to me, why are you so upset with Cenk Uygur or Jimmy Dore? Well, motherfucker, listen to what's going on in these states. And you're worried about a goddamn meme? And just passed an act that's going to do something at least? That's why I get angry, because we are at critical mass right now. Rudel, good to see you. Yeah, I think Matt, we're talking about Jimmy Dore, right? And he's definitely snake oil. You know, he's got a hard on for certain subjects, and that always makes me strange. You know, I was listening to Roger Waters. You know, he was interviewed by Smerconish. I'm not a big fan of Michael Smerconish, and he's blaming us for genocide and saying, you know, he's siding with Russia in this war. No wonder Gilmore broke out of the group there. Well, let's say, Trev, there's a big difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans didn't like this so much that every single one of them voted against it. And not only that, the taxes within the pact was for people over $400,000. So it was basically a spending bill that came to zero energy, so to speak, $0. Just like, you know, potential energy released, kinetic, and it equals zero. It's kind of like the universe. It all kind of equals out to zero. The energy that goes in and spreads out. At least that's how I kind of see it. It kind of comes to zero. And I think that's what's good about it. It's some movement. It's rather than just, well, let's just sit here and watch the world burn. At least I'd rather have somebody taking out a tooth before the thing goes down. Okay, I'm starting to, you know, they attack the FBI because this is the final battle. For them, it's righteous crusade or anything good. You're right, Gary. You're absolutely right. Because that's really the line. Anything goes to them. There's again, we cannot negotiate with this. And if you think that you're away, not you, Gary, but if you all this think that you're not part of this problem here that I'm discussing, it can be right down your street. See what I'm saying? You don't know if you've got a Cincinnati guy going off down your street. He may have the gun in his basement looking for you. All right. I want you to just see this kind of nonsense thinking going on. Now, just remember, we're really the majority in this country. We're up around 55 to 45. And of those 45, maybe 30% are lunatics, Trumpers. You know, they'll just believe any kind of shit that comes their way. So I wanted to show you this. I actually thought just the opposite of this. Okay, I want you to hear this. This is the attorney, one of Trump's attorneys. She's a liar, too. But I want you to hear what is said after this. It'll be a few seconds here, discussion, and then we're going to go to something outdoors, and I want you to listen to it.
For speaking about the issue of search warrants for nuclear information and nuclear codes, she went on one of these radical right extremist networks and wanted to be clear that radical right extremists are hotter or better looking than other people. That was the point she was trying to make. Play that clip.
You know, the men on the conservative side are alpha males. they drive big trucks, you know, they hunt, they fish, they do all that. And the women love being women. They know what a woman is. They know how to dress. They know how to act. They take care of themselves.
They know how to dress. Okay, so there's a way that you should dress. And we're going to say, yeah, the alpha male is if you're a beta male, you're no good. And by the way, it's in the community of animals, say, I believe, is it baboons, that if the alpha males were somehow killed or died, the success and the peace within that community increases with the beta males. So she is honoring beta males here. And she's saying that there's a certain type of woman that is a Trumper.
And as a result, you have attractive women on the conservative side.
What she's talking about is herself. That's what she's really talking about, because she doesn't know all the women on her side, nor does she know all the women. And not that would even matter. It shouldn't matter. But now she's talking about attractiveness. Well, if you just talk about numbers, if you have 81 million Biden voters and 74 million Trump voters, there's going to be fewer women, okay? So you look at the math, woman. I don't mean to be sexist there.
Compared to the women who are depriving you of any opportunity to sleep with them, Brian. I know you were disappointed.
Yeah, I'm hard.
And I would suggest it would be absolutely the opposite. If you're a Trumper, as I've said on Facebook, you better find your third cousin to date.
Broken right now, to be honest with you. You
I
said
can
it.
tell, I can
I
tell.
could not put it any better than you. And I'm glad you said it, not me. But to your point, yeah. I mean, you look and just look at the. And I don't want this to sound disrespectful at all, but when you look at the conservative women in the movement right now,
Yeah.
they're beautiful, they're
Yeah.
strong, they're fit, they
Yeah.
exercise.
Carrie
They-
Lake's a great example.
Great
of,
example of
yeah,
it.
she's
And Margie
gorgeous.
Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
If you follow on Instagram and social media.
Right. So, in my opinion, for example, Marjorie Taylor Greene, we're not even going to talk about her looks, but just as a human being, I find her as an extremely ugly human being, just by her demeanor, her lack of intelligence, just absolute ignorance. I wouldn't even talk about her physically. But now they're making it a physical thing.
She takes care of herself.
Yep.
Versus a lot of the politicians on the left look pasty, like they've never gone outside for an ounce of sunshine. They don't eat any food.
Yeah.
Yet the first thing that the insurrectionists, what did they want to do when they got in the Capitol? Who did they want to attack first? You tell me, folks. Who did they want to attack first? And it's not Nancy Pelosi. They are locked in literally with their weapons, but they're locked in their thinking. My Trumper cousin today, I spoke with him, and in the phone call, we try to avoid politics. At least I try to avoid politics. So he said, "Listen, I got to ask you about the FBI. I mean, what do you think?" I told him exactly, and he said, "Oh no," he said, "All of America, you're wrong, Brian. All of America is against the FBI right now. This has gotten too far." Of course, it led to an argument and whatever. But this is the way these people think. They are locked in. And we're not talking about weaponry, although that can apply to them. Reawaken America tour, mixed far-right politics, religion, no mandates, 20 election was stolen. Yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, please, folks, if you like this or you dislike it, put a thumbs down. If you like it, put a thumbs up. It helps the channel either way. You're doing me a favor. And please subscribe and share. Because in the end, we're trying to share our ideas and commiserate, but yet maybe get something done. In 2022, it might help with the votes. Because if I tell 3 people, those people can tell 3 other people. So it does count. Even if you tell one person, that one person can tell another person, and you just don't know. 1 second can change your life. You know, you can win a lottery in 1 second, or you can take the wrong left turn and your life's over. I'm from Westchester, then Rockland, and then Orange, then all the way to Erie and Allegheny, New York, all the way. Okay, never been there. Okay, we're talking about traveling there. Okay. Trump made a commercial. Love Beto. Okay, so Katie Porter, right. Now she's great because she plays everything like a prosecutor. So she will get you on the gotchas. She already knows the answer before she asks it, which is kind of, you know, you always wonder about people who know the answer before they ask you the question. But in this case, it's effective, and you need to do that. And she has done that. She has absolutely emasculated people, CEOs, and you've probably seen her before. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Biden's the Inflation Reduction Act is a joke. You know it's evil when excellent. President. Now, I don't base it on one person's praise. Really kinky. What were your impressions of Beto when you did meet him? Beto is an okay dude. Right. I mean, look, to me, T-Bone, he seems like a Robert F. Kennedy more than anything else. You know, he was the tough brother, you know, who had to do the dirty work. He actually looks like him a little bit. And the reason why I give him praise, now, T-Bone, you're from Virginia, right? I'm trying to guess. Or Florida. You're from Florida, right? Florida, Virginia. Or maybe you were from Florida and you live in Virginia. But I'm just trying to think, like, just the idea that Beto is from this big state called Texas, which does have an amazing number of conservatives, and they're off the wall too. And he's fighting. And this is why you need perhaps somebody who's in hell and fights, because they know how to deal with it. They show no fear. And I think Ron Flipowski was absolutely correct to say, you know, I'm getting sick of the Schumers and the Nadlers. I mean, they're not horrible people, but you can't be nice to these people. I'm not saying that you have to be lewd or violent. No, I'm not talking about that. Do what you have to do. Speak plainly like Harry Truman. So is everybody. Well, we do need energy. Just got to get off the fossil fuels. Beto failed as a Republican, so now he's a Dem. Okay. Well, people do evolve. You know, I've evolved. When I was 5 years old, I believed in God. Right? Until, you know, you get your present, you say, well, where's the chimney, you know? You evolve. Some takes time to become a vegetarian. There's nothing wrong with people who evolve. You say, okay, I made a mistake, now I'm moving on. If anything, I was probably too conservative. I was never conservative. I was always kind of a radical in a sense. I didn't look the part. Even when I had hair, I didn't look the part. But I was going to be somebody's main meal in the end. And some of you may have that same experience. You may not have seemed like the radical to other people. But what you say, or what you said, you really were that when you look back at it. Safe to say we don't see him Beto attacking anybody with a nail gun anytime in the near future. Exactly. He's not going to do it that way. We're not going to win in a shooting war with these son of a bitches. It's got to be the nonviolent way. It's got to be getting your ass out to vote. And at some point, there are going to be enough Republicans who are so disgusted with that boorish behavior that they're going to say, I get it. Eventually. And if not, you know, if it comes down to it where they try to take over, then I'd say, okay, Biden, shoot the missiles straight up. and let him come straight down. Because if you're going to take us, we're going to take you out with us. Now, that's kind of severe, but I'm saying if you're going to take this country over by those violent means, and it looks like you're going to get away with it, at some time the president may have to decide to do something. I'm not talking going nuclear, but if you had to, you would. Betty, literally, only person not scared of my dog. Very big. GSD. Yeah. Up against the wall, motherfucker, Gray Slick. Yeah. I knew a person whose brother actually went on a date with Gray Slick. He became a surgeon. I remember when she sang Someone to Love. I forget if it was on the Smothers Brothers or something. Wow. So Matt was mentioning from Ammon Animations. I don't know anything about that, but again, I defer to you, Matt. Sounds like Sherwin's running out of color names. Yeah. I know these are older comments, but it's good. I like that one. It's almost like Rodney Dangerfield would say that. It was great. Just simple but funny. I like Nasty Hal. I like the damage report in John. Yeah, to roll. I'm going to check that out. Pat Paulson, president. I am aging myself. Well, I remember that, Kim. I do remember that. Pat Paulson. Yeah. Katie Porter or nothing. Well, there are a lot of Katie Porter. Well, there are a lot of Katie Porters out there, but we need those types, and I'm sure they're out there. Dark Brandon, their twisted religion versus paganism. Yep, Matt, I remember the Smothers Brothers. Yeah, the Smothers Brothers, that was a great show, and I do remember that. And that does date us. We were young when it happened, but yeah. I agree with Hal about the Young Turks. One big problem with the Young Turks is they focus on fucking faux news and that piece of shit fucker Carlson. Yeah, Carlson, he's just... And again, he's showing up on Russian news. And the Russians are playing that. It's insane because it in a certain sense, it gives liberal Russians very little hope, because when they see propaganda like that out there, and I think they know it's propaganda, but they see enough of it, and you see these some Americans, saying, yeah, Putin, like Steven Seagal. You're going to say that's good? Let's get some music on here or something. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to have to get all of my own music on here because that pisses me off. I need to hear Johnny Mercer. All right. Hopefully that'll stay on there. That was what I used to use on the Reality Report. I don't think Jim is funny at all. How do you think Jim? Who's Jim? Jim? Oh, Jimmy Dore. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sandy. Yeah, I don't find him funny at all either. I mean, he's almost talentless. It's like that Brian Kinmead or whatever his name is. And I replied to him on Twitter saying that he was a talentless, yabbering son of a bitch. He's taking these Photoshop pictures with that judge's face and Epstein's body with Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever her name is. Dore just called saying give him 1,001. Yeah. He wants money from everybody. I was banned from Majority Report for saying I was happy I voted for Biden. Same with Tom Hartman. There I was banned. Conor Arroyo. Yeah, it's just... Again, David and I, we were Bernie supporters. I still support Bernie. But I understand. All you have to do is look down your fucking block. Look what you have. That the same people talk shit. Go to your neighbor and talk shit that Trumper will take a gun and blow your head off. And you won't say peep to him or her, because they will do shit. Say that shit about Trumpers in front of them. You won't last long. You have to understand that this country, if you understand the United States, and I think this is where, I think I talk about Veg. Veg understands it. I mean, he understood when that, that caravan in Canada, there's a certain point you say, time out here. We need to get things traveling across the bridge here. There's a lot of things going back and forth over the ambassador. And you're going to hurt people. So there are people with a wide range of, for whatever it is, it's just what it is. It is what it is. And if you are in this one segment, you can't force it on everybody. Bong is funny, not so much him. Okay. Epi, I watched Young Turks for about a decade. I found that ironic, hysterically funny sometimes. I don't know. I try to laugh at certain things, but I don't know. I can't. I guess I can't find them funny. Dr. Shays, well, I would watch from Dr. Ritchie. The only humor has is plagiarizing Carlin. Never watched Young Turks from Fat Boy. Yeah. I probably won't watch them anymore. If anything, just through Hal Sparks, I would watch it. The problem is time is running out on saving our species and get politicians around the globe. Well, believe me, Biden, Obama, they wanted things to be done. But again, you're not negotiating with yourself. It's not like you can say, look, we're dying. Help us. They don't help you. Some of them don't even care, Rudel. They want you to die because they believe in, this planet's got to go. So we have what the Bible says is going to happen, whatever crazy shit that is. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. So when we say, look, the forest is burning, it doesn't matter. The only time they care is when they are on fire. Then they will come screaming to you, pleading for you. But that's the hypocrite involved in them. They only understand when it happens to them. Otherwise, they will not. So despite the fact that the Arctic is melting, that the Antarctic is melting, that rivers are drying up in Western Europe, that lakes are drying up in the southwestern part of the United States, like Lake Mead and Lake Powell, in spite of that, they don't give a shit. But we unfortunately have to negotiate with these people, meaning they have representatives, even in the Democrat Sinema, who's essentially a Republican, because of these crazy people in Arizona. You can't make them do the right thing because they represent the asshole who lives next to you, who you can't control. You can't even stop them from letting their dog take a shit on your lawn. They don't listen. So when we negotiate, it's a very hardball game. This is why the one good thing about Biden is he's been a politician for many years. He knew how to get it done. Whatever it was, it's better than we lost again everything. You can't get everything. It's like this. I'll make another analogy. And I've said this one before probably. Okay, so there's an attractive girl in your senior class in high school. And you can play it around. If you're a female, you can say there's an attractive guy. Doesn't matter. Then all the guys want to date the one girl. She's going to go with one of you. But all of you are going to fight. To the point where you probably won't even have a date. And then the others suffer too. You want everything. You can't get it. You only get barely what you need, just like the Stones song. But it means a lot. At least to me, that would be something that absolutely reflects how we should politically move things. Because we've got an evil party. We're dealing with Hitlers out there. Anybody who takes a nail gun so he can get through bulletproof glass so then he can take his AR-15 and decapitate people, that is a Hitler. That is a sick son of a bitch. And I don't know how many of them are out there. By the time the show ends, probably something could have happened. Because some asshole named Donald Trump talks about the FBI like he's being crucified by them. And meanwhile, the easy shot is to take a shot at Biden? What the fuck are you going after him for? Go after the big boy in the class. So you're gonna pick on the smaller guy? Take the big guy on. Kick his ass. You want to do some ass kicking? Go after the top. Right? You want to be the boxer? Take on Sonny Liston. Why go up through the levels there? Get Sonny Liston. Take your ass out into the ring and fight Sonny Liston. But you won't do it. I'm not talking about anybody here. I'm just saying in general. People want. And you know you won't do it because you know Liston's going to take your brain and he's going to break it in half in one shot. TYT is Ms. Shrill and Mr. Of Course, which offends many. I think Hal will vote for whomever will benefit the average Joe. I believe in Hal Sparks. But I say I don't want to make this about TYT. I mean, that's not my point tonight. My point tonight is that they have no business trying to lay down the hammer on Biden on some side issue of Dark Brandon. I'm wondering if I'm going to get a strike from Facebook with the Johnny Hartman tonight. I don't know. Mortgage mirrors ought to be option for dollars. Yeah, well, a lot of it's for dollars. Door. Yeah, he wants money. He wants money. And he's getting it. He's like, so many of them there on YouTube. Scotty Kilmer. He's a guy who says, well, I'm apolitical, but he always talks about the Democrats. Some of the cars, and he's talking about the Democrats all the time. Hal Famous. Yeah, he was on that show, something Queer-Eyed for the Weird Guy or whatever it was. I don't know. He doesn't appreciate. No, he doesn't. Good for you, Veg. I watch a lot more Veg-O-Matic than I do TYT. Man's just trying to stay alive, right? And I agree with you, HLS, because there's so many Trumpers there, and that kind of bothers me too, because I've had like people from West Virginia on my show before, Redneckonomics or whatever like that. But where are the people there? They have to protest. You have Richard Ojeda. You need those people in West Virginia. I even tweeted to him, I said, what would your universities look like, your athletics team, if they started boycotting, if your best athletes boycotted you because you're an asshole and you're hurting the average West Virginian, which he has, and even the people who have jobs working in those coal mines, they're dying slowly, brutally. I will check that out, the damage report. I probably have seen it before, but everything you sent my way, Sandy, I've liked, so I will check that out. 12 people at a time. Jason Burbert loses his shit. I'll have to check that out. I can't copy and paste that, though, can I? No, it doesn't show up. I can't, I can't click the link. Yeah, T-Bone's a good guy. And check his channel out. Because, I'm there to listen to the content. But what I do appreciate is he's got, he has a creative energy that goes beyond the commentary, which I think is important because all of us have a certain energy. I don't want to get spiritual or anything like that, but art, as I've said, is kind of a way that we express or channel our energy. And what he does on his channel, and I'm not trying to patronize you, I'm being frank, T-Bone, it gives you more. It goes that extra mile. Say, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. And then meanwhile, it's as if you're watching. I'm going to go as far as saying, and I don't mean this in any pejorative way, like a dream. It's got like almost like a dream state kind of thing going on. Very, very interesting. A lot of animation. And I like it. I like the creativity. In general, I like creativity. Something different. And that's what it affords you. Excuse me. I'm an insomnia. I've been for decades. Thanks for the show. Well, I thank you. And it's a weird thing when you're up late at night or in the morning, whatever you want to say. It's 2 or 3:30, Epi. It's like, God, I got to get to sleep. But at some point, when it happens to me, when it's 3:30 in the morning or so, I just end up putting the TV on. Forget it. I'll just get productive. And then I'll eventually fall asleep at 6:30 or something like that. When I was in Russia or the Soviet Union, I remember, I don't want to go too deeply into this, but what I will say is I remember in the middle of the night, if you put the light switch off or on, it didn't matter in St. Petersburg because it was bright at night. You only get like an hour of darkness at some point in the summer. So you had this feeling you had to be up all the time when you were in St. Petersburg. It was just a strange thing because you had 22 hours of sunlight and you just couldn't get to sleep. And you would think that if you lived there, and I was there long enough for, I guess, about a week or so. At that time, I've been there quite a few times, but the longest period of time was a week. And it was as though I were an insomniac, simply because my eyes weren't used to all that light. So I was used to turning a light off or on, and it didn't matter. It was the same brightness. Yeah, what's great about Hal, Sandy, is, he's not funny on everything. There's no doubt about that. But sometimes he is. And if you think about it, it's kind of like watching a long comedy routine. It's 2 hours, but it's about politics, and he's doing it right off the top of his head, which means he's really an intelligent guy. He doesn't have people writing a joke for him. And he's not even taking time for himself to create that joke. It's coming off the top of his head. He's creative, but he's more than that. He's smart. He's really, really smart. And he's a guy who doesn't have a college degree. But I think he's one of these people who knew early in his life he didn't need to do that. Like the Bill Gates. Didn't have to finish Harvard or whatever. He didn't have to do that. Yeah, really smart guy. Okay. Let's forgive him. Now. Yeah, I think, Veg, I'm going to agree with you. At least from what I see, it's too polished. Hal's isn't polished, which is kind of strange because he is a fairly big name. Who is it? Rachel Maddow has had him on once, I think, on her show. And she, and Rachel Maddow is really intelligent, but she thinks he's brilliant. So if Rachel Maddow thinks he's brilliant, he's brilliant. But he doesn't do any of the fancy shit. Yeah, he doesn't use Ecamm anymore, but it doesn't matter. Whatever he's using, Streamlabs, he just does it off the top of his head and moves things around. The main thing is what he says. And that's what I like. That's why I like in Mendham. He just says what he needs to say, no frills, and that's that. I do some things. Now, that's not to say you can't be creative either. And I like that too. So, for example, what T-Bone does, that's different. That's something where you're worried about the artistic part of it, but you're also making your point, and then you're connecting it. That requires a lot of thought and a lot of preparation. because you don't want to, fuck it up. So, yeah, that's a little bit different there. Pumping Bitcoin. I hate hearing anything about Bitcoin or stocks. Anybody starts talking shit like that, I just can't stay with it. Why can't they do student loan for families with the combining of under 300,000? Why can't that be the way it is? You know what? I don't even. I see the point both ways with that one. Some people paid, and some people have no chance, and I don't know. It's you don't want to see somebody get stuck with a loan they'll never be able to get paid back. But then again, you don't want to see somebody get it for nothing, and then the person who doesn't go to college doesn't get anything, and yet has to pay into that. Glasgow. Laws have to be made for all. That's right, and that's what we're trying to enforce in this country. Great clip of John. I'm going to get 30%. Okay. I. Scotland is cool in the musical realm because, like, for example, when I do my walk during the day, one of the artists I always listen to would be Joe Cocker. And although Joe Cocker was, a big star, and I like Joe Cocker, a lot of soul, but I liked the Average White Band, great. And it was funny. I mean, some of the funkiest music came out of Scotland, and not to put Scotland down. You wouldn't think of it like funk from Scotland, and it just grooves. I mean, like Pick Up the Pieces, just amazing. Pushing for, if you're gonna push a product, I guess I don't watch Pacman that much. I think he's on the right side, but yeah, it sounds like he's trying to sell something. As I said, I don't like selling shit to people. You're not getting that from me. I'm not saying other people shouldn't do it. I don't need $50 being sent to me. I feel like I owe somebody something. I don't want that. I don't lend and I don't take. Yeah, borrowing money for college, that took a while to pay back. I read UK Talk. Oh. I'm too tired to even know. Your spleen is not bad. Okay. We're good. I know when to get off social media and reset myself with books. I get lost in them and forget about the internet. Oops. Not a bad... T-Bone, I've been trying to get back to my Gore Vidal. I have all of his essays and Applebaum I'm trying to read. But believe it or not, a lot of the time I spend my time just studying Russian and reading Russian, because if you don't keep up with it, you start losing it literally every day. But I do want to read more, and that's I think all of us kind of want to. But you need to be able to relax. Sometimes I'll take a book with me to bed, and I can't read more than a paragraph, and I fall asleep. But I get it. And I know some of you say, you need time to chill. I know, Anthony, you were going to take some time. You mentioned on Facebook. Sometimes you need that. I have not ever taken off. I'm kind of steady with my posting and all that. I don't think I could stay away from it. Wow, 50, yeah. Then that'd be a way to... All right, let's get to... Can't stand debt, so I worked. I buy. I never take loans, so I got to buy stuff much later in life. That was me. And I agree with you, Kinky. That's exactly like I am. I like with my cars. For example, I've never just taken, $20,000 in cash and just bought a car. Probably should, if you could, but I never at that time was able to do it. So what I used to do is I'd start putting a large down payment down on an automobile, try to get a low monthly fee that I have to pay, And then as I get closer toward the end, I would just pay it off. I'd send a check for $3,500 or something like that. I liked everything paid off. And it's just my opinion that don't borrow, because you're going to pay the interest on it. But I think credit, as I've taught my students, there is a use for credit. Without credit, this country would not move. You need it for a mortgage, for most of us, unless you inherit money or you inherit a home, legacy wealth. Other than that, you have to use credit. It drives the economy. But personally, I prefer not to use it. When I do use it, by the way, I will use a credit card to get points, but I will pay it off, which is smart. I'll check it out. Okay, Hitchens was very well spoken, right? And you know, T-Bone, and I know that I'm behind on these posts here. And by the way, they did fix that problem where there's 3 of the same. Hitchens was my hero. I mean, if you look behind me, I've got a few of the Hitchens books there. You probably can't see it from here. But I said to Ronnie today, T-Bone, I said, we really needed Hitch at this point in time. He was like a nuclear bomb. His ability to think off the cuff. And his good friend, by the way, was stabbed yesterday, Salman Rushdie, by some asshole. Let me show you this. Well, I shouldn't even show you the asshole, but this schmuck here, because I'm a big Salman Rushdie fan also. This guy. From my state, from the great state of New Jersey. Some asshole. I don't know how security let him get through. You figured they would have, checked him for knives. Especially since there was a fatwa on him in the past. But anyway, I want to get off him. Right. So, yeah. Hitchens. He was the kind of guy that we needed, because I remember him when he was going at it with Sean Hannity one night. He was just destroying Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity, what did he do in the end? He just got really loud and started screaming. That's what Dave does to me. If he feels he's losing the argument, he starts yelling at me. But that's okay. But Dave's right a lot of times, you know what I mean? So he gets loud. But anyway, going back to Hitchens would just destroy Hannity. And I saw Gore Vidal destroy Tucker Carlson at some point. Tucker Carlson started getting smart with him one time, and Tucker Carlson used to wear the bow tie. And I remember at the end, Gore Vidal said, "Okay, Mr. Bow Tie." So he went, schoolyard on him, even though Gore Vidal had such an amazing vocabulary. But we miss Hitch, T-Bone, and he's the kind of guy, if you were going to have any kind of debate with him, you were going to lose. The question was, how badly was he going to leave blood? You were going to lose. And you deserve to lose, because he was prepared. He didn't have to have his notes. No, he had, 45 years of study and a great memory. You're done, right? You have a debate with him. I don't care. You may have a week to prepare, and he may have nothing. You're done. You're going to lose. And we lost a great one, because it is at this point in time of our history that we needed a Christopher Hitchens. Not to say that we don't have people who are intelligent, but we don't have the Hitchens type who can clearly and poetically make the point. Chomsky's too old now to do it effectively. There are people who speak effectively, but they don't have the flair. And some people have the flair, but they don't speak effectively. And anyway, it's getting tougher. There, a Hitchens comes. He's like the Michael Jordan, of debating. I miss him terribly. Terribly. Heard the crowd cheer when Beto said that. That was what people wanted. Never got hit with a spitball, not a curse. A spitball. I guess when I was a kid, somewhere along the line, I did. Yeah. We used to shoot spitballs in second grade or third grade, I think, is when we started it. think second grade, this is 1966, 67, was kind of relaxed. But then when you get into third grade, you have some kids who, you see, they start letting some kids back. And in those days, I don't know what you all feel about this, but I'm sure you might have experienced it. That's when they started leaving kids back. You know, maybe they let them go kindergarten to first grade, but usually around first or second grade, you're okay. But at third grade, they said, well, we better put this kid back a year because he's not handling it and he's not, you know, socially working out with the rest of the kids. So you had to stick with the kid. You had to be with that kind of that asshole that was a year older than you in your class. And you knew who they were. You know, the kind of kids that would like, although I had good experiences, I should say I have one dear friend. A dear friend of mine, and I wouldn't say that. I think he was let back, because he was a year older than me, but he was a wonderful guy. But others, I know one that's dead right now, I know he was going to go to jail or something. You start getting into that behavior around third grade. You know, kids start throwing these like dart-like things, and they start calling each other out and fighting when you're in 5th grade and 6th grade. Just a lump coal going to be a diamond someday, right? That image is hysterical. I'm trying to think which image it was because I know that I'm behind. How about the Nazi fascist? Racist piece of shit himself, and I can't believe people have Carl Country sign in here in my town. They don't even know what evil is. It is Carl Palladino. Who is Carl Palladino? I don't know who he is. Doesn't sound like such a good guy. Drumpf. Oops. I'd call him Trunk. Just so much easier to say. Guitar. Okay, he must have been talking about guitar. Shocking suggestion. You know, you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I used to like a group called Renaissance with Annie Haslam. It was kind of a classically based progressive group, but they weren't real popular. I've seen them a ton of times. I even heard her warm up one time. It was in a bar in Philadelphia back in like the 80s. But the first band with this band called Renaissance had Keith Relf. And he was originally in... what was he in? The Yardbirds? Or yeah, he was a singer for the Yardbirds, Keith Relf. Yeah, I think so. You know, he started singing Train Kept a Rollin' or something like that. But Keith Relf had this idea of starting like a classical motifs to their song. And at the time, Jane Relf, his sister, was the singer. She was not the singer that Annie Haslam was or was to become. But if you want to hear a song that's called Kings and Queens, it's with Keith Relf. But anyway, Keith Relf was playing his guitar. I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. He electrocuted himself. I don't think he grounded something on his guitar. He was playing around with the guitar and he didn't ground it. You have to, I mean, I'm not an electrician, but you better ground something. And he got, 120 or 110 or 220 straight. And unfortunately, sadly died. But really cool group. If you ever get to listen to it, it goes way back. Not a big band, but they were great, and I used to love their stuff. I used to see them quite a bit in the 80s because they were touring. There's a keyboard player named John Tout. Really good. Yeah. So anyway, I was thinking of that. It was in a kind of a sad way, but it shouldn't happen to Keith Relf. It should happen to Trump. Right, lefties don't kill. They're not killers. They might get hit with a pillow or something, but that's about it. Electric guitars are DC, so bathtub safe. Okay. So hey, a toaster. Okay. Keep the amp away from the tub, though. Yeah. Turkey, Hungary should be kicked out of NATO. Hungary out of... Yeah, Hungary and Turkey. I would agree with you, Kinky. I don't trust... I wouldn't trust Erdogan. I wouldn't trust Turkey. And I certainly don't trust Hungary. We should put the screws to them. Problem is that they probably would go over to the other side. He's a fan of Putin. Yeah, Waters complete after what I haven't really listened to him anyway. I don't go to him for my politics. But what I saw with Michael Smerconish when he started defending Russia, he sounded like Steven Seagal. And he tried to talk over Smerconish. And again, I'm not a fan of Smerconish at all. I find him to be a bit of a phony. No winners in war, only the people suffer. Well, yeah, but he was doing a good job of just blaming Biden and not Putin. And he should have been an equal opportunity accuser, and he didn't. I was kind of on the fence with Waters until Smerconish interview. I saw his wall tour about 8 years ago in Montreal. I liked it, but no more. Yeah, I always liked Gilmore better anyway, to be honest with you. Gilmore, probably because I play guitar, and I liked his singing, like on Dogs. Yeah. I hope I didn't waste my time talking about Renaissance, a group that's kind of... I mean, I'm sure some of you probably heard of them, but I don't like mentioning things if nobody knows, but it was just something that I had to bring up. What does Waters want Ukraine to do? Does he want to do right? I mean, what do you want to do? Neil Peart and Geddy Lee had opposing political views too. Yeah, Geddy Lee, of course, he had his interesting story with his parents. You know, real tough. Did this bitch graduate from Trump University or Liberty? That must be the woman who's the attorney, right? She's a liar too. She was caught in a lie recently. I'm like today. Lunatics have reason it's better to stand up atop a ruined civilization to do victory dances in its ashes than build a dystopia, the one they always wanted. I may be wrong. Yeah, I don't know what makes a lunatic tick. No pun intended. T-Bone. But maybe it's this fascination with chaos and death. And the funny thing is, it's like this evolution of ourselves. You know, again, when I was 5, I believed in God, and now as I've, you know, everybody knows here I'm an atheist. If I were to look at religion, I would say here's God and here's the devil. If you believed in both of them, I would say the devil's probably better in terms of the amount of killing and the retribution and all that kind of shit. And this idea that you got to kiss my ring, and the first 4 commandments have to do with, you know, bowing down to me, which it makes no sense to something that's supposed to be about love. Why is this the first 4 commandments all about ego? Don't take my name in vain. I am the Lord thy God, and there are none others. That it doesn't make any sense. If you don't believe in me, you go to hell. It's all threats. There's nothing that is redeemable. And you either evolve or you don't, or you hear something different, or you translate it semantically in a different way. But it's for me, it's like trying to fit something in that doesn't fit. And it's a letdown in the sense that, hey, that wasn't really the truth. But there is something to think about. I mean, we are from supernovas, you know, like, imagine that. You start the universe, you have these stars, some of them explode into a supernova, they eject some things and coalesce in some type of mass, and I'm made from that. You are too. We're made from stardust. That to me it's phenomenally amazing. And our size relative to that, to the universe, and the universe may not be that big in terms of what we would call big. We're only relating it to how small we are. We know that it goes on for perhaps forever, but it's all relative. But the whole idea is that it's a fantastic story. You don't need to have a religious angle to it to be in awe of it. In fact, to me, it's much more fascinating when you start looking at it logically. Yeah, what is it, Sandy, with, you know, when the women all have dyed blonde hair, you know, teeth that look like piano keys coming in, tanned, cleavage, and they're always in the center, and the 2 guys on the side. It's manipulation. I've seen some of these Trumpanzee so attractive. Like I say, it's not even about attractiveness in terms of physical attractiveness. You just take numbers. You know. Alonzo Wilder Homesteadism, Maloney, birthplace of libertarianism, Lauren Grills Wilder. I don't know any of these people. Wish I did. How can one hate? Yeah, that's... Just can't grow up stupid with lipstick, right? You get that right, Trev. You can't cover it up with lipstick. You may look good, but... Yeah. Incesting sisters makes a border wall, yeah. They're beautiful green. How intellectually? Right. I mean, there's nothing intrinsically or extrinsically beautiful about somebody like that. There's a great ugliness to it. I'm talking not about physics. Again, I don't body shame people. I just wouldn't do it. It's just the meanness in her. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's just bullshit. It's just, you know, chatter, yabbering, trying to make fun of it. And she's an attorney for him. Let's see how well she does when his ass is on the line. Right. Trying to lock in New York can say it's not diverse. King. Well, there was raised to live. That was for America. I'm trying to move faster here. It's, you know what? I feel fine. All right, that's from. What group is that? I forget the group, but I know the song. Oh, that's REM, right? America was untouched, able to build. Yeah, we were lucky for the oceans, weren't we, HLS? Very lucky for the oceans. That won't help us this time very much. A few minutes. I was rereading the letters from Alina and Roger Waters. Still, Recon Roger, still one of the most humanists this planet has. Fuck the bullshit spin. This is my parents' unit. Babe Ruthberry. Wow, across the street. But there's deeper issues untouched. Kitty, queen of the whiteboard. Way to talk to me. Took the time to talk. Good guy. It was Asian Street Fair Festival. Friend did Asian Street food there. Cool. Yes, Virginia, now in Florida. You were correct. Okay, so I remember, T-Bone. T-Bone, listen, if you want to come on next week, tickets there. Veg, you want to come on. Boom. Sandy, you want to come on. It's, you know, and we may have Dave next week. You know, it would be nice. I can't guarantee that. Most of you were born into a class of wealth like your parents. Right, I agree. I would love Sheldon Whitehouse, Katie Porter ticket. That would be nice. Smart people. In fact, you know, Ronnie was talking about that last night. We were listening to some of the attorneys talking with Lawrence O'Donnell. And, you know, they're making, you know, putting the words together beautifully, and they were making good points. And Ronnie said, you know, I really like listening to intelligent people. And she had it exactly right. I mean, you can see when you listen to somebody who's intelligent, and then you turn on that slop on that propaganda station, Fox, they just talk shit. I mean, it's just like the lowest bar. I mean, why can't the FCC shut that shit down? You're just spewing nonsense. And then you have these just brilliant people. Neil Katyal, Michael Beschloss. I mean, these are brilliant people. You know what I mean? Again, as I've said, they're the ones, they're like the train in the front, the engine, pulling us through. Those guys are like the caboose, slowing us down, talking their shit. All right, Fat Boy, thank you. Everybody has to eat. Beta's a sense of fellow like him. I'll vote for him. I think that's a great idea, Anthony. Great idea, and I'm sure you will, because I know you're not going to be into Greg Abbott. Nadler, Schumer, the A. Take care. Okay, Sheldon Whitehouse has really told us about dirty money, and he talked about climate change all the time. I don't like that he likes nuclear power, but who am I to talk? And I agree with you there. We've had on the reality report, we had, was it Gary? What's his name? I forgot that. Geez, I'm falling off a cliff today. This isn't good. I've had him on. Goldschmidt, Nate Goldschmidt, physicist at CERN. Brilliant physicist. He's worked in Switzerland. He knows all the top physicists of the world. And I do remember in my discussion with him, he talked about nuclear power. He actually sees it as something that can work if it's done right, but you have to do it right. It can be done cleanly. Now, people can go either way, but I'm sort of tending to agree with him. If you can do it right, which is almost impossible now because you don't know, for example, what you see in Ukraine right now with the Russians, using their artillery from a nuclear power station, which in itself is dangerous, just being there. But if it's done right, it's somewhat clean. You have to figure out how to store it. Like plastic, it's you don't want to burn it. At least if you bury it, it's in the ground and it does no harm. If it's just in the ground and it's not leaching into the water or whatever. I can't say it's all safe, but you can't make it perfect. But fossil fuels are bad enough. But I like Whitehouse. I think he's again in that class, Sandy, of intelligent people. Like you can go to bed at night saying, I've got the right guy looking over us. Alpha male thing. Well, I think Fapowski's saying they were kind of like beta males, at least in terms of their temperament. We have to believe in something or nothing hang on to it. That's what who wrote Infinite Jest? Wallace? He said you have to believe in something. The only thing that we can believe is that we exist. That's the only we can. I can say that I exist. Like I think, therefore I am. Now the question is it an I, or is it I'm watching, or I am viewing consciously what my brain is? And we can take that as somewhat of a fact. And where we go with that, I don't want to really say because I'm not a neurologist. But I think we can, at a very simple level, we can say that we exist. We can believe in ourselves first. We see the universe through our own eyes, not even through a God or through our own eyes of how we see. Even how we see God is through our own perception of what God is. Because your perception, my perception, or another person, it's all going to be different. You could take 1,000 Christians and you give them a couple questions and you're going to see different answers to each one. Same thing with Jews, same thing with Muslims. So I don't know that we don't have to believe in a God. I'll say that. I know I know I don't have to. I'll just speak for myself. I was freed when I didn't have to believe in a God. For me, it was of no use whatsoever to me. And some of you probably agree with me, some of you don't, but that's okay too. I'm not here to convince people of anything. I'm just playing some music, so to speak. Kansas gives us hope, and it certainly does. And that's what James Carville was saying. I believe we have another beer. Throw me one, okay? Here we go. Okay, Bell, but I gave Buzo. You can go. Okay, Bell. I'm trying to get you. See, I don't see these really well, so I just click them in, and then if there's something that needs to be commented on, we'll. Yeah. So Bella, good to see you. That is an extremely foreboding thought. I jumped. Okay. All right, let's go through these. Yeah, I want to make sure I go through this because I want this again to be a commiseration between us all. Being groggy, right? That's why it's, as a teacher, Anthony, I got great advice from a teacher who was a shop teacher in middle school when I first started teaching. And I was substituting and I was tired, and he was telling me how he was in the shorts when he first started teaching and he really needed money. So he worked 2 jobs. He would teach during the day and then he would work at night till like 2 in the morning, and then he had to get up at 6. So he only had 4 hours of sleep. And he would always come in tired. This occurred for maybe 1 or 2 years, he told me. And he said the worst thing you could do as a teacher when you're groggy is just sit down because you'll fall asleep. And the best thing you can do is just stand up and keep walking around. So when I never got my sleep, Anthony, what I would do is, and I tend to do that, I walk around the room and I keep walking as I teach. I'm always standing. And that took away the grogginess. I usually would never fall asleep when I was standing up. Now, when I was teaching guitar years ago, if I was sitting down, I was tired. It was, say, 9 o'clock at night, my last lesson, 9 to 10 or whatever it was. There were times when I would literally fall asleep for a couple seconds while I'm watching somebody play. It was, my eyes were just, the eyelids were ready to fall. And it's not a good feeling. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. 1, 2. Thank you for the music you put me on to. You're welcome. I don't know which music I did, but you know, you're welcome. I used to be a musician. I just don't play anymore. Ronnie was thinking of like maybe at the end of a show in the future we'll do a tune. You know, she'll sing, I'll play. I don't sing too much. Shock, Dory, right? Yeah, I agree with you. Kind of like that. I like Bernie too. I don't understand that about the Harmon because he's definitely supportive. He is supportive, and that you have to give him. It's just that I think Veg, what he's saying is a lot of it seems to be so prepared in a way that it almost seems phony. But it's not. I mean, but in a certain way it is, in the sense that it seems like he's more worried about how he looks on the show than the point he's trying to make. But I don't want to attack him completely on that, because they say he's on the right side. And I would be doing like the Young Turks thing. I don't want to do that. But I will say I would prefer somebody like Hal over Packman. But that's just a personal taste. And I've been wrong before. I was wrong about Merrick Garland. So, Hartman. Okay, I think Connor Arroyo is Jet. Rogue Monitor, sadly, Sandy is okay. I don't know what that is. I'll have a door, not money, years. You can't handle this travel into the past. Comment review. Yeah, I'm behind in the time here. It's very difficult. I actually need somebody here to go through the comments and post them. I need somebody to actually be right here clicking these things. What I really wanted from Ecamm is so it's set so it just rolls through it. And I don't think it does that. Maybe Sandy, you can help me out with that. They should have something that just kind of just rolls through. I know there are widgets for that, but I don't want to start getting into widgets because I have to keep posting links and all that. All right. Sooner, Brian. The house will burn out soon. Okay. I don't know who this mod is. I like Tom, but I can't. Annie, Haitian capitalism versus mental health. Former sweet young girl with colleague destroyed by the terms. Yeah, I saw that car flying down the road. Man, she must have been desperate for something. to get out or something. Nobody drives that fast. That was a sad, sad event. Thank you, Anthony. You're always a good guy. You always share this and support us. You're like great member. Appreciate it. And was it trying to, I don't know much about Anne Hesh. Lord Anthony. Oh, really? You got him there too, Anthony? Drag races, they have that in Philly. It's always been a problem in certain areas of Philadelphia where people drag race down the strip. Dangerous as all kind of hell. I just didn't realize they have that in Texas. I should have guessed it. I don't know. It's really the same shit everywhere. Everybody's the same schmuck. Oh, great, Matt. I have more videos I wanted to show everybody, but you know, I tend to have them set up and then I don't go through all of them. But unfortunately in the United States it seems to be always vote for the lesser of the two evils, but I don't always think that way. Where I live we have Max Della Pia. He's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to vote for the lesser of the two evils. It's just logic. I'd rather see 4 people die than 20 people die. I'm not saying that's good. Hassan Abi was a great product out of IT. Robert Congress has a glacier. He has a glacier named after him. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Make sure that's like the match stay afloat. Okay. Losing in his home state. Yeah, that. You know, that. Joey, I think that was a defining moment, a failure that really changed history. Losing in his home state. Had he won that state, he would have won the election. We would have put people in the Supreme Court. He would have dealt with climate change. That was a defining moment. And we wouldn't have had that shit with what happened with the Chads. That was a defining moment, and it was not a good one. And I blame him. He should have done everything possible to win his own state. And that means bring Clinton in, whatever he had to do. And he blew it. He blew it. Either that or the people of Tennessee blew it, or maybe, who knows, I don't know. But that changed history. Alpha Cheney, yeah. Strangest thing is I slept well in the Marriott Plains, White Plains on the 16th floor. Hadn't slept that well in years. Yeah, it's a rarity. Sometimes you're in a hotel, I don't know, maybe when the air conditioner's on, it's just kind of a strange thing. To me, when I'm in a hotel like that, where your floor's up and they have that loud air conditioner, I don't know, you ever, like, when you were in college, you know, you like had been drinking, or maybe you're getting high and you had kind of like the spins in the bed, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like the time where you felt completely nauseous, but just in that weird kind of state. When I was in like hotel rooms where that air conditioner was going, and I was in a room that I wasn't used to being in, it was almost like that bizarre thing, because I was in this, it was really dark, of course, because you just shut the shades. There were no other windows except for that, like one window at the hotel. And you felt like you were in a different planet. And sometimes you did sleep well. Except when some schmuck in the hall wakes you up at 4 in the morning because they're partying or whatever. Someone who uses Hal's material. I don't know. I mean, he might. Colbert has some great stuff, but maybe he might have to take it from Hal. You know? I'm sure Colbert knows Hal anyway. I mean, Hal's still a pretty big name, and he's got some street cred with a lot of these people at MSNBC. He's just not the guy that you would have on MSNBC. The T-shirt thing and all that. He's actually like 53 years old. He looks younger. Ron thinks he might be using like Botox in his face somewhere. I don't know. That's his business. Johnny Carson's very just really. Yeah, that's right. Bobert's husband ran over his neighbor's mailboxes because they asked his kids to slow down. They were driving a dune buggy around the neighborhood at least 50 miles an hour and 25 zone. Yeah, I mean, people are fucked up. Both of them are fucked up. I'm sitting doing Sudoku, listening stoned off my face. I like that expression, stoned off my face. You say like stoned off my ass or something, stoned off my face. I like that, Epi. I'm sure you've got some great expressions from Scotland. It just, you know. I mean, I know in England they say sod off or whatever, but you'll have to lay some down for us that are really cool from Scotland. I'd like to hear some of them. 2 lives on YouTube for the show? There shouldn't be. Well, that would be interesting. There was one, but it got shut down, I think, by Facebook. If there are 2 live streams, I don't know about it. I won't know anything until I actually end the show, which, well, I've been on for over 2 hours. First one is about, let me see, well, I got 15 people in here. I guess we can stay for a little bit longer. Got it. The average white band guy, someone better pick up the pieces. Love the average white band, yeah. But nobody knew who Renaissance was. That's too bad. But anyway, it's just personal taste of mine. Oh, here we go. Remember the group Renaissance? Yeah, right. So one person knows Renaissance. Great, Kinky. Yeah. Carpet of the Sun was probably one of their most popular songs. It was a pop song. Most of their tunes were these long 12-minute tunes, like the Yes Would Have or Genesis. Like most art rock groups. But that was like their pop one that made it. It was fairly popular. Joey likes it, I know that. Joey's born in the early 70s, but he listens to 60s and early 70s music. I know that. Joey likes Renaissance. I do use credit cards because they pay back. Yeah, I mean, right. I agree. Which now, of course, good point, but it wouldn't affect this Trumpian thought. It was no, but he would be good to attack Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I mean, he needs to be destroyed, and you have to have the right person on there. And that's why they don't have Jon Stewart on, Joey, because Jon Stewart would have destroyed him. They will not invite Jon Stewart on. Yeah, the anti-Kissinger. Kissinger was a waste. Flair. One can't construct a logical thought. Okay. After stopping our Rogers at the screen, we threw spitballs at the bus. Well, that's not good, Joey. Hope you weren't doing it. I have to tell your mom tell your mom if you were doing that, right? Yeah. Statute of limitations still active. Great band. Okay, I'm catching up, I guess. Interviewed Gore Vidal in the early days. That's cool. I just typed Renaissance on the Carpet of the Sun, right? Diane Feinstein knows what you need for a party. Does Feinstein really know anything anymore? I don't know. She's got to go through. Renaissance reminds me of high school. I remember the tune. I forgot. There was a great classical intro. It was a vocalese that she had. I'd actually put it on, but I can't because I know Facebook. I'll have to just not do this on Facebook to be able to pull this off. Kinky, I think your comment right from mid-70s. I don't know what's going to freak me out. I've just said what you said. Renaissance. Were you familiar? Because Renaissance was from England, Epi, so I mean, you might be familiar with it. I think they were big in the United States. I don't know how big they were in England. It's kind of weird because a lot of the progressive groups from England really exploded in those early 70s in the United States. Kids in America really gravitated toward that. So I don't know the scene in Great Britain if that was the same thing. Because I know, for example, Alan Holdsworth, his group IOU, they couldn't, aside from playing at Ronnie Scott's, they couldn't make it in England. there weren't enough people. I mean, there were some people who liked progressive rock there, but it just weren't the numbers. Most of the people who were listening to music were listening to like the hardcore stuff, maybe the Police or something like that, but not Holsworth. Holsworth had to go out to California and play in New York and Philadelphia and places like that. Shoelace-Tip, yeah, that's what a lot of kids did back in those days. Joni Mitchell, we were Stardust, I think. Yeah, basically. Don't understand. Yeah, very nature, we should be a religious experience, and it's a matter of proper definition of action. Very nature should be a religious experience, and be a matter of proper definition. Now, whatever it is, you know. The truth is what is. That's what Lenny Bruce said. You know what the truth is? The truth is what is. And what should be has never been true. It's just a terrible, terrible lie. Good Morning Starshine. I remember that song, yeah. Buffalo Spring from just after Back into the Garden. What about Bob? I was in a group called Life After Bob. Okay, I'm catching up. I'll accept your invitation. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're both still here, because I'd like both of you on. And again, I'm not saying this to discredit you at all, Veg. This is actually something, you know, I'm trying to say something really nice, because I think even though you're from Canada, you have a strong grip and understanding of American pop culture and American politics. Not that anybody else here doesn't either. It's just that I have this vibe that you understand it like I understand, like an American would understand it. It's almost as if you live in Canada, but your eyes are, you know, you're seeing where this pop culture is, because most of American pop culture is fed into Canada. Because, as I said, Canada to me, the way it looks at the street level looks a lot like the United States, except for maybe saying a boot instead of a bout or a boot, or and even then in Canada it kind of gets close, different from one province to the next. Aside from like one word or two words, organization instead of organization, it's the same. It's, to me, I'm sorry, it's the same. I mean, now we're playing a lot of hockey now and getting better, and you guys are getting the basketball players like Wiggins and all these guys. I mean, playing it's the same thing, but it seems like you've got that microscope on it, and I need T-Bone there. So it'd be great to see both of you. And again, anybody's welcome, but because you guys have been on this before, it would make for an entertaining show, and I would love to see Dave back, and then all four of us. I love that song, Juniper. Great song. Thanks to Dave Price, I was able to ask questions of Michael Beschloss. Really? That was cool. We got to know what you asked him. He was mellow, yeah. Really busy chat room. One musician from Glass House was Mitch Mitchell. Right. Now, I got a Mitch Mitchell story, which I probably told on the Reality Report, Epi, and I hope you're still here. Now, I had a friend, he's dead. I have a lot of dead friends, okay? He played on the Letterman show one night. He played with Eric Clapton, I think, one night. He's played with Jaco Pastorius. But he never knew Mitch Mitchell. I'm going to put this up here. But I had another friend who never played, big time music or anything like that. And we played in a band very, very short period of time. I mean, we're talking about like maybe a month. This goes back to like in 1982, 83. And he was telling me about Mitch Mitchell. He said, yeah, I heard from a friend, like he's really fucked up and he's on heroin and like eating dog food in New York City, right? I never forget him saying that. This guy named Chad told me this. Chad's still around. So I told it to my friend who's now dead, of course. And he told it to his friend who's a drummer. Small world. So what does he do? He's all down because of that story that I told from my friend Chad about Mitch Mitchell strung out in heroin and eating dog food. So he goes to Musicians Institute of Technology out in California. You know, you can pay to get better your instrument. And of course, who's out there is Mitch Mitchell. So he starts talking with Mitch Mitchell. Says, yeah, I heard you were like all strung out in heroin and eating dog food. And you don't seem like that. He says, what? Yeah, some guy named Chad said you were eating dog food and you were on heroin. He says, you tell this Chad that if I ever see him, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. So I get a call from my friend. Tommy was alive, but he's dead now. He said, yeah, Rich called me up. And he was talking to Mitch Mitchell out in California at Percussion Institute of Technology. That was what it was. And he wants me to relay this information to Chad. So I see Chad with my friend Warren out of nowhere. I hadn't seen him for years. And I still haven't seen him since then, I guess. He said, Chad, remember that story about Mitch Mitchell? Oh, yeah, great drummer. Too bad about him. I said, listen, it's not true. And Mitch Mitchell wanted me to tell you that if you say this again, he's going to come out and beat the shit out of you. He said, what? I said, yes, he doesn't like you. He was told about that. Well, he was freaking out because, you know, he has all these Jimi Hendrix Experience albums. His favorite drummer is Mitch Mitchell. Mitch Mitchell wants to beat the shit out of him. Small world, Epi, but that's a true story. Now, Mitch Mitchell's dead, I believe. Yeah. If you allow me, I'll come on. Last 2 times it wouldn't connect, but yes, I'm all in. We should be okay, you know, hopefully. It would be a lovely show. All right. Sandy, thank you as usual so much. And I'll try to check out that person you're talking about. Tomorrow I'll look at the chat. Wow, I'm really late tonight. Remember the Japanese King Kong movie? They were made for King Kong uranium. Oh, okay. Good night. Okay, so you guys are getting tired. Nadler, Schumer, Think, Brian, Think. Of course, my 2 subjects represent the beta strain. Any thoughts on this suggestion? Of course, okay, so you're being sarcastic. Yeah, I mean, they're decent individuals. They're intelligent. They handled themselves well during the insurrection, you know. They listened to the Secret Service. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of being hypocritical talking about, well, you need more betas. You're right, but we got to take out the alphas from the other side. And you can't just give them something like bubonic meat or something like that. It just doesn't work that way. So I think the reason that you have to have a tough person like Beto is that there's some people that just gravitate toward, we need a tough guy. We need somebody that seems tough. And he better be tough, or female too, doesn't matter. Katie Porter, she's tough. It's Jimmy Dore, not on this show. He wouldn't come on my show, that's for sure. Number one, he first of all, this nobody knows me, but knowing what I've said about him, he would certainly not want to be. Yeah. This shows it a conversation, right? It's more of that, and that's what I want, because you see, what I'm trying to get at is that I'm facilitating. I can't make this work unless we're having the conversation. There's nothing more frustrating. For example, even when I would comment with Hal Sparks or any show, if they don't comment back, I feel like I'm just seeing things from afar. I'm not part of the process. And ideally, we'd like to have cameras of everybody on here. You know, that'd be great. Like I say, if I had the M1 processor, I would probably be able to have 20 people on, or 10 people on, whatever it is. Yeah. Robin Givens, yeah, she was funny. Yeah, Mike's ex, Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson, he's come a long way. And his show's good. I mean, he's he doesn't maybe put his words together the best, but he's operating at a higher level though. He's not a stupid guy. I mean, he may not know how to say it, but he knows what he means. You know what I mean? He thinks about the important questions. I mean, deep questions. I'll say that about Mike Tyson. He's interesting. All right. It will be 6:45 a.m. Scotland. Just saying. All right. Let's time for call. All right, folks. On Twitch. Okay, we're coming to the end here. So I think I'm going to finish up and say thank you to everybody. T-Bone, I'll send you a link tomorrow. Next Saturday. Veg, I'll send you a link at, I don't know, 8:45. Is that good? I'll look for your email again. And Veg, I got to find yours. I may have to get your email again. I think I have it, Veg, but I will get back to you. And I'll send you the link. Right. Let me see. Go to bed. All right. I'm sorry. I'll get to the rest maybe next time. But thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. And this is the longest About It We Stand we've had. And I thought it was going to be a short one tonight. I thought this was only going to be an hour. Well, what do you know? Au revoir. Thank you.